What's a game that upon finishing, you will automatically restart and play again? Could be higher difficulty, new game plus, different character, class, etc. What will you dive right back into for another round because it's that good? I just finished God of War 2018 and feel like I want to go around again now that I'm much better than I started. Plus, it was just so damn good. I think the only time I've ever done this was for Borderlands 2. Beat the game with a buddy and we moved right into the next playthrough. I think we beat it 3 times that weekend, lol. One of my friends was never really into games. He got a PS3 from another friend in Borderlands. It was the only game he ever played through our entire childhood. He never got tired of it. He knew every aspect of every mission, where all the best loot drops were with zero help from online guides or anything. I lost touch with him when we were in our mid-20s, but up until that time, Borderlands was the only game he ever played for more than an hour or 2. He probably has thousands of hours logged. Beyond it is 100% content with replaying it over and over. Sounds like me. Borderlands was pretty much the only game I played for a couple years until Borderlands 2 came out. Remove. It is. Don't get me wrong. I love it. Just humorous that he could probably count on both hands how many hours he has played any other game, but he has played Borderlands for countless hours. Okay, I get so happy when I see Borderlands get mentioned. Played that game for a decade on and off. It's one of the best shooters I've played. Had to platinum. Thinking about BL in VR. Anyone here play it in VR? B2 was so good playing with friends. It has the very specific, dumb, friends humors. This really only happens for me because up until BL3, you had to do NG+ to reach level cap or fully realize a character's potential. The introduction of mayhem settings in BL3 meant you could crank up the difficulty and XP you got even if you have played through all of the game's missions. Exactly the game I had in mind. Always love seeing my answer as top comment. Damn, that's a long AF game. FTL. I always try to have an ongoing game, especially with multiverse. The judges can give you a bonus after a winning run. What is this multiverse? New FTL content. I believe it's a mod. It's a mod that adds an immense amount of content that honestly makes the base game seem like an alpha state. Civilization. I wish I could say this, but I've literally never won in Civilization. Eventually, I get impatient and do something that causes me to lose. Hit Rush with Harun al-Rashid. Get Desert Folklore ideally and focus on gold and city-states. If we're talking Civ 5, the only Civ I've played, the basic recipe for winning is not that complicated. 1. Don't get conquered. 2. Get rich. 3. Go for diplomatic win. The AI can't stop you even if they are far richer than you. They are simply not programmed to be competitive enough with city-states. Alternatively, you might want to try playing Attila on a dual-sized Great Plains map on epic speed. If you just want to win, this is probably the fastest, easiest. Build horse archers, build batter. Ing Ram, take AI capital. GG. It's the ultimate time travel device. Resident Evil and DMC games, but they are designed to be played like that. RE4 in particular. Yep, I really enjoyed the replayability of that one. Short replayable games are underrated, with the exception that RE4 is not a short game. Particular for a game that want to be played multiple times. Seriously, I'm a re-veteran, always complete games on hard. That game still took me close to 30 hours. Not a complaint. Damn, I got downvoted for checking every corner of the game. My first playthrough took around 20 hours, which I think is on the shorter end compared to most AAA today. And subsequent playthroughs were around 10 hours, which I think is pretty short for a game. A lot of people can get through in 6 hours on a clean run, and I'm not talking about speedrunners. It is a short game if you are replaying it, and that is my point. 6 hours with the Chicago typewriter? Cool. If you're doing NG+ and not searching for everything possible, it's less than 5 hours. Yeah, I finished RE3 Remake and saw the cool meta progression stuff that you unlock by speed running the game, so I booted it back up. But then after a few hours I realized, oh, but this game isn't that fun. As someone who hasn't played RE4 since the GameCube, why is it a good example? First off, the game is a blast. Jumping back into a new game is just so easy, especially with the item carryover. Secondly, there are so many unlockables that you can discover with successive playthroughs, e.g. infinite weaponry, ability hats, castellans, that it helps push players into trying the higher difficulties. RE4 Remake is one of the few games that has been a joy going platinum with. RE7 for me. IDKV seems like some of the least replayable games on paper. They are built around puzzle solving and figuring out what to do, where to go. But I replay them all the damn time. They have rankings based on time and trophies associated with getting those rankings. I guess I meant more the older games, which only some tykes give those rewards. The pathing and levels in the game are also just very satisfying. Don't know what exactly Re does differently, but every single one gets me to replay until I unlock the best time plus difficulty achievement. I think that the beauty of Re games is that they cover both. Playthrough 1 is super immersive, but Playthrough 2 Plus is this odd Groundhog Day situation of finding optimizations. I also think Re has always been a master of wonky dumb mechanics that somehow come together to make really dynamic fights. It means small challenge changes really change a lot. Also helps you can complete a nice chunk in one sitting. There are different unlocks for beating the game in shorter times. Also, my dumbass can't remember every puzzle. I love replaying Resident Evil and DMC. Once I'm done playing on normal, I immediately go into the harder difficulty. Never played a DMC game, but 5 is on sale for PS5 and has really great reviews. May need to give this one a shot. 3 and 5 are the best games in the series. If you are jumping into 5 and aren't going to play 3, at least read the recaps for the games. Either way, that's peak character action game. Well, apparently the HD collection for SE bundle is also on sale. May have to just go for it. Not sure what all that comes with, but it looks like the other 4. Yeah, first one is dated but still decent. You can skip 2, it's the worst game in the series and just not worth playing. They pretty much wasted dev time and put out whatever they had. 3 is great in a prequel, so if you don't want to play 1 because it's dated, you can play 3, get a recap of 1, then play 4. 4 and 5 build their combat off of 3. Also, if you get DMC 5 on consoles, make sure you get the special edition that's only on current-gen consoles. Well, looks like on PS at least. The bundle that I believe has 3 and the 4 special edition is less than just 3 for Switch, and the PS5 5 SE is also on sale. May as well just snag them both. Buying a PS5 recently was a great and terrible idea. My backlog keeps growing. NGL, the Switch version of DMC3 is actually a little better than the HD collection version because it has style switching and co-op Bloody Palace. Wish Capcom would patch these into the HD collection, but DMC3 is still great on PlayStation. I beat RE1 on DSiDK 5 or 6 times in a given day. Once I unlocked the infinite rocket launcher, I wanted to see how fast I could beat it. I want to say my best time was between 15 to 20 minutes. Any Souls game. Sekiro was the only from game that I went past Ing 7. Bloodborne was second. Yep, Sekiro Ing plus 7 no Kuro's Charm Demon Bell is the best game ever created. I finished normal Ing, then got the saves for Ing plus 7 and finished it like that with Charmless Bell. Straight from least hard to the hardest. Ishin on Ing was beaten on 3rd try, when I only wanted to check him out before going to sleep. Ing plus 7? He fucked me for a long time. I played DS3 for the first time a few years after it came out, and I never played another single game for 2 years. Loved it, loved them all. I play Ing Plus as a treat, for me. I just started Ing Plus in DS1. Second time I've made it this far, but with a much better build and weapon now. My Reinforced Club build wasn't a winner, LMAO. I suppose I could go back to that character and just try using a better strength weapon. Reinforced Club is good for first playthrough because it has a high base damage. Its lack of scaling hurts it in NG+, and even late Ing it can kind of be felt. For a near identical weapon but with really high STR scaling, you can use the regular club instead. Also, if you're feeling confident, you can pick up Power Within and stick it into pretty much any build. Maybe slap on a resin or get into 10 for magic weapon, and you're really cooking. Good plan. I'm almost at the Lord Vessel with my Uchigatana character though, after about 5 to 6 hours in Ing Plus. This thing is wicked. Couldn't believe that I took down Ing plus Havel without any damage, then ran over and killed the Hydra. The Uchigatana is a classic. My earlier recommendation stands though. Weapon buffs are strong as hell in DS1. If you have the int, it'd be worth snagging at least the base level magic weapon. BKH trivializes the game. I'm honestly not sure if I can even recommend it, LMAO. So fun though. I used to just run through Dark Souls 3 runs. Just keep going on and on. Was tons of fun. I was going to say Armored Core V. I played that 3 times back to back and only stopped because another game came out that wasn't half as good. And the amount of time I have in Elden Ring has gotten obscene. Other than from games, the only things that come close are MMOs and Minecraft, Satisfactory, which are entirely different beasts. I rarely even complete games, but with any Souls game I automatically start NG Plus just to see all the content. Because the quality of it is just insane. As another example, Shin Megami Tensei V made me want to start again immediately. It's releasing on PC soon, so I'll definitely play again. Baldur's Gate 3, but I haven't gotten back to the final chapter to finish that second run. This time as a Durg. Basically at the end, too. Need to get back to that. Baldur's Gate 3 and Dishonored are the only two games I've ever done this with. Love them both. Same. Finished first run and started a new one the next day. May have to check out Dishonored. Warning, they're very different games in terms of gameplay and storytelling, but Dishonored is a master at what it does. If you do check it out, hope you enjoy it. Every year I hope for Dishonored 3, and every year I am left disappointed. Sad Dishonored crowd assembling over here. I was pretty disappointed by Dishonored 2. It very well could have just been me or the point I was at in life ECT. But I didn't even finish it. It was weird though, considering what a huge fan I am of the first one. It's crazy to me that my first run of that game was like 80 to 90 hours, and as soon as I finished I wanted to replay it again and then again. My fourth run is where I finally ran out of steam. It's a story-driven game, but the acting and gameplay is so damn good, and there's so many branching paths and different classes that replaying it doesn't feel like a chore at all. I played 3 playthroughs back-to-back. First as a normal character, then as Durg who went good, then as very evil Durg. Over 370 hours in like 4 weeks. Durg going good is such a wonderful story, but the evil Durg is even better because of just how tragic it is for all characters around you except Minthara and Asterion. Need to play the game again soon with all its fixes and stuff, since I played only the first 4 weeks after release. I definitely forsook Ball and went good. Even up ping, it's hard to be that bad lol. In my bad run I killed every single NPC I could find. Except for Minthara. Even killed Will, Karlach and Gale in Act 1. Killed Lae'zel, Jaheira and Minsk too. I was like super evil. Where Orin tells me she killed dozens, I had already killed thousands. Behind me was a trail of bodies everywhere. You did it, me. I, by far, like the Dark Urge runs best. You really feel like you're a part of the story more than a normal run. Redemption Durg greater than evil Durg because I much prefer to be a good guy in games that give me choices. But going full, chaotic evil Durg is just outright hilarious sometimes. I've a couple moments of laughing fits being a total dickhead murder hobo Dark Urge. But then there were choices that were really difficult to make for me. I've been playing it of and on since January due to new game releases. A fourth run as a chaotic neutral Durg that's romancing Minthara. Just finished my Reject Durg run after getting to Act 3 in a co-op campaign and finishing a solo Tav run. I could start another playthrough just like that, but I've got some other games I want to play first. LMAO. My answer 2. I have finished 2 full campaigns almost, and am waiting to continue my third. I have many multiplayer saves going on too lol. I went through first as a goody two-shoes paladin. Immediately started new game, but this time a little more shady to see the difference in interactions. Next run gonna be a totally bad guy. Then after that maybe a bad guy that redeems himself. I have so many builds I want to try out and each needs their full campaign attention. Soldier. I try to do a second run, start making the character, and then just go meh. I love the game, but I have the hardest time replaying everything. And I don't understand why. Man, I need to get into Baldur's Gate. Exactly my situation. I excitedly refilled a Durg and kept the momentum up until pretty far into Act 3, but I lost steam very close to the end. It's a long game, lol. Armored Core V. Completed it 3 times back-to-back. Great game. I'm struggling to rank everything though. It feels like this is only possible with specific loadouts and I don't have the time or the brain capacity to do it. Yeah, some of the missions were hard enough on their own, let alone S-ranking. I mean, I know it can be done. I've seen others do it on YouTube. But having to physically do that yourself. I don't want to hear G13 while dodging a lot of mechs that want to kill me. I mean, it was cool getting praise at the same time you were going up against impossible odds. But to S-rank, you need a different mindset. I've done everything now, including all NG+ versions of missions, and I'm only replaying for the S-ranks. The missions become much easier when you know what you're doing each time and how best to approach them. But trying to match the S-rank conditions is harsh. There's plenty of run-throughs when I am lucky to get a C, let alone an error, and it's the kind of thing I will probably whittle away at over a number of years, one mission at a time. In my profile, my most recent post is the AC that I S-ranked every single mission with. I only ever changed the missile on the back, depending on the stage. Everything else stayed the same. Perhaps that can help you. Interesting. I'll try it out. Looks like a fully ranged build. Nope. It's a super close-range melee combo build. The Harris and Duckett stagger very quickly, and then you swap to the sword for melee and follow that with a charger Harris shot. While the Harris technically has a range and can be used as such, the FCS really prefers close-range engagements. The missiles are the only real range tool to the build. You Armored Core was the shit. Was looking for this answer. Criminally underappreciated game. Good enough reviews, but this is a gem of a game and series that gets overshadowed by FromSoft's other offerings. Witcher 3. I have over 500 hours in it so far, and each time I do a new playthrough the story hits just as hard and I find new stuff when exploring. Quality aside, the game is so long that by the time you've reached the end, you can start over and it feels like an eternity since you've last started the game. Yeah, I was playing that game like every day for 2, 3 for several months. I'm really nostalgic of that period in my life. I had just built a new PC with a 982. I longed for the days the XX80 card was top of the line until the TI version dropped and could be bought for less than $800. That's interesting. I loved Witcher 3 like most everybody. Doesn't strike me as a game where you find lots of new stuff though, just based on memory. Certainly wouldn't mind another playthrough though. It is a truly epic game. Hades. But like, just beating Hades isn't beating the game. It's a roguelite with meta progression. It's not really beaten until you've unlocked everything. It's a game designed to be finished 100 plus times lol. Right. Credits don't even run to the 10th completion. Had to scroll down way too far to find this comment. Because the game isn't finished by the time you beat the final boss. I think you have to beat Hades 10 times to even get the credits, and depending on how long that took you, all of the side stories are likely not done either. Diablo 2. Run 1468. I've given up hope. The elusive Stone of Jordan is beyond my reach. Yet still, I press on in the hopes that Mephisto will grace me with the glory for which I seek. I have caught myself a couple times visiting malicious website wanting my credit card information. Only a couple strokes of the keyboard could grant me the salvation of finally getting that dreadful item, and I can finally put the game down. Will I put it down? Dare I put it down? What happens if my next run I find a Ed4 OS? At the Thresher, I shan't miss my chance. I must keep going. I read it in my mind as Frank Pembleton. Chills. Literally, chills. Came here to write this. I'll probably get hate from the veterans here. But I've never played the original trilogy. I did want to play the third one, and I did have a friend play Diablo 2, but that was before I was into PC. Now that Diablo IV is on Game Pass on PC, I just played through the campaign and restarted on hardcore because I like one-chance type run games lol, but I really enjoyed Diablo IV. When I've got the extra cash for it, the other games are on my to-do list. I haven't played D4, but I've played the rest extensively. D2R would have to be my most played game. Diablo original for me. I enjoyed Diablo 2, but there was something about that first one that sucked me in and was special. It was probably the novelty of the game style, the continuous surprise. You never knew what level the butcher was going to pop up in. The generated loot gives a lot of nostalgia just thinking about it. The atmosphere in D1 is still unmatched to this day. Sorry to burst your bubble, mate, but the butcher is always on level 2. Huh, I thought he was anywhere between levels 2 and 4. Thanks! I've been replaying this basically nonstop since 2001. How does one fist a dick? Any RPG where your choices matter, the Fallouts, the Dragon Ages, the Mass Effects, etc. I'll play it as a good person the first time, and evil the second time. Can't quit Fallout 3 without an evil run. Gotta make Megaton go boom. Just to see the infamous series finish as the hero, then replay as an evil bastard. Always did heroic then evil. Evil is much easier to clear on hard because you don't have to worry about civilians ruining your karma. Absolutely. The evil skills were so much more powerful than the hero ones too. So hard mode didn't seem as hard. Cyberpunk. Because by the time I've reached the end, I've made so many adjustments to my character build that I want to start another one with that build from the ground up. Just finishing up my third playthrough and can't wait to start my fourth. The game is so dynamic. As someone who's always thought about getting Cyberpunk, can you tell me some things that have excited you enough to do so many playthroughs? What do you mean by dynamic? Multiple playthroughs here, including the expansion. The game is almost infinitely replayable, for multiple reasons. The character building you can do is immense. Want to approach combat like AT-800, there's a bold for that. Cyber ninja blades and throwing knives, there's a bold for that too. Melee only with blunt weapons. Fists only even, yup, you can do that. Or go full hacker and kill them all from your cyber deck. You can do that too. Want to mix it up and have a little bit of all of these and be adaptable in any situation, there's a way to do that. or just make your own build that you haven't seen before. And the thing is, the game is so vast, and the missions, especially side missions, are set up so well that each build means you genuinely approach the mission completely differently. Add to that just how vast and full of life the city is, and all the crazy encounters and side hustles, and no matter how many times I play it, I find something new. And the characters, aside from the cop guy, I hate that doofus, are all so fucking good. You end up genuinely caring about decisions you're making, and depending on your choices, the playthrough really does change. And the expansion is as good as, if not a little better than, the main game. It's really, really good. The soundtrack, all the cars and weapons to collect and play with. Just get it, dude. Trust me. This guy knows. It's just got really good build variety coupled with immersion-focused gameplay and lots of choices, so it's lots of fun to make multiple playthroughs and try out all the options and combat styles and combinations. For me, it's that every time I have played, I find new storylines. Makes me want to restart as soon as I complete it. Plus, Act 1 is one of my favorite first acts for a game. Going to the big lead tune, Morrowind, I find something new every time. Sekiro, to die twice, death counter, less than error message greater than. Dishonored, as soon as the credits rolled, I started a new game. I had another game lined up already when I finished Dishonored for the first time. I was like 3 hours into the new game, and I had to put it down and boot up a new game of Dishonored instead. It's just so well done. First run was low chaos. Second run was ghost and clean hands, then third run was high chaos. So satisfying each time. Only game besides Baldur's Gate 3 I've ever run back-to-back 3 times in a row. MGS4. So much more fun with all of your acquired equipment in a new game plus. Elden Ring is the first game to make me do this since Diablo. Same. Elden Ring, and especially Diablo 2. Still the best Diablo emo. Same. I still play D2. Particularly D2R. Love Diablo. But right now, is taking up my spare time trying to get a few characters in an ink cycle ready for the DLC lol. I want to have a few different builds ready to go to play with all the new weapon types. I've learned the hard way in the past that from DLCs do not mix with ink plus on a first run through. True for all the games, but Bloodborne especially hammered that point home. I rarely ever play through a game twice. The only times have been all 3 Mass Effects when they released. I'd immediately start NG plus after finishing, to make different choices and see the outcomes once I get back to Starfield. I know I'll start at NG plus right away. All the old Need for Speed games, I would beat them once with whatever I wanted, then do self-made challenge modes like beating them with only Japanese or American cars. Carbon is my jam. One of the only games I ever bought, as an actual physical copy and not pirated lol. Carbon and Underground 2 for me. Something more recent, Cyberpunk 2077. Completed my second playthrough of the original story. Now taking a ridiculously long time to complete Phantom Liberty. Bloodborne, it was so difficult because it was my first Souls, but once I finished, I just started Ink Plus and didn't look back. I ended up doing the 3 playthroughs needed for the Platinum, and after some months I'm starting again for the DLC. Now I'm worried. I've never played any of the Soulsborne games, but I inherited Bloodborne from a friend of mine that I'll eventually get into. Am I about to get wrecked repeatedly? Probably. I would recommend just a few videos about how parry works, and eventually you'll be fine, ready to hunt. Ratchet and Clank. Elden Ring. You're tarnished, just like me. Looks like someone else has been emboldened by the flames of ambition. I'm maidenless, so I have no choice. Marika's tits. If only I had a giant. But whole. Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless. I typically do back-to-back runs on each Souls game, just as a different class. Did back-to-back Baldur's Gate 3 playthroughs as well. Doom Eternal. You simply can't learn everything in single playthrough. I'm still learning things 6+ replays in. Pretty much none. I'm usually already thinking of the next game I'm going to start once I'm approaching the end of the game I'm on. Shadow of Mordor. I just love the combat. Wish it wasn't such a pushover early game. Would love some Ink Plus. We really gotta get on another game with the Nemesis system, too. It made the fun combat exhilarating. I know they're supposedly doing a Wonder Woman game with it, but can they hurry up? Or let others use the Nemesis system? It's too good a mechanic and story system to drop. I still can't get over the fact that game mechanic can be copyrighted. I'm pretty sure Warframe wanted to do carbon copy version of the Nemesis system, and it had to be shitified so WB can't sue them. And hell, it would have fitted into Warframe so well. Fuck you, Warner Brothers. Arkham games should have continued with this system. I also always pictured a Green Arrow game with the Nemesis system for the mob. Really, any street-level vigilante game would be amazing. It really would be a great system to adapt for superhero crime fighting games. Random thug from a robbery keeps breaking out and coming back for revenge. Each time he gets some new weapons, maybe some crew members. Eventually he's a major crime boss you have to deal with, like the orcs that became leaders of fortresses in Shadow of War. A Wonder Woman game? Really? Do they really think anyone cares for that? I don't see how they could ever get that close to Shadow of Mordor. Of course, I'd love to be wrong. Look, I'll play anything with that system involved, especially if it's combat-oriented. And Wonder Woman tends to be very combat-oriented. I remain open, though also open to be disappointed. Plus, she tends not to kill people, so that makes for a very potent nemesis system at play. I'll play it just for the jiggle physics. Well, you know how and so to dominate the minds of orcs and such, you use a ring. Well, Wonder Woman does that with a lasso. I know they are very different, but the same scene when you zoom in on an orc with the ring on their face, lasso around terrorists, villains, and is a very militaristic kind of person. Honestly, I imagine it would work quite well, as long as they can avoid the mistakes of the last movie. Thought her lasso just made some people tell the truth like a truth serum, but my main issue is more with the interesting setting of human bad guys. Oh, absolutely. But it cannot be an entirely pleasant experience. That depends on the type of weirdo you catch, really. Alpha Protocol got me to replay it several times because the total shifts in plot because of your decision-making changed the story a lot. It was fairly incredible for its time. The final act is very different depending on how you played the game, in a way Mass Effect 3 and Deus Ex wishes they were. Obsidian understood that mechanic better than any other dev. They don't give you the illusion of choice. They in fact lean into the repercussion of choice. I love that game and replay it every year or two. Really wish they'd make a spiritual successor to it. Repercussion of choice is the perfect way to describe the difference. Well put. Deus Ex is the better overall game, though. Original. That is. Although the newer ones are still solid. Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I'm on my third playthrough. Definitely FE3H. I've lost count of how many playthroughs I've done. What's your favorite house? Hard to say. Probably Crimson Flower, even though it's annoyingly short. But I like all of them. I tend to rotate between them. I like doing silly challenge runs like an all-war monk run or sword classes only. It's a remarkable game. It truly is a remarkable game. By the way, my favorite route is also CF, and I really wish that it was longer. They could, for example, have included the fight against TWSITD. XCOM2. I need about a week, but then I'm ready to jump back in. Rogue, roguelike, roguelite, and rogue mechanics games. Games that have huge new game plus contents. Reminds me that Metal Gear Solid had the bandana, the camouflage, and then the 007 suit. Got the camo, then the bandana. Arcade-like, high-score games. Nothing that takes more than a few hours to complete. Putting any roguelike game on this thread is pointless because that is literally how they are designed to be played. Agreed, they aren't complete games just by beating them once. Lol, right? It's straight up the gameplay loop. Yep, it's such a weird thing to mention. And it's funny because they could be honest and actually say they started from the beginning again. In something like Hades, there is a point in the game where you could say you beat it. You went through the loop, completing the game dozens or hundreds of times, and have unlocked everything, seen all parts of the story, and could say you finished it. Then you wipe your save and start all over again. That counts, I would say, but it's never what they Ian when they mention them. I've only played Hades twice, once on Steam and once on Switch, for 1,000 hours each. Don't you have to beat Hades multiple times to get the ending? 10 times to get the credits and then countless more for the epilogue. Or beat it once, which is enough work in and of itself, then check YouTube lol. Have you actually played Rogue? I've played it hundreds of times. Once I got killed by an Arrival. That's as far as I ever got. I learned the word quaff from that game, because D is for drop, not drink. Also, just the massive amount of unlocks. If it's a somewhat difficult roguelites, I find most of the time I've only got 25% of the content unlocked after the first time I've beaten it. FTL, Binding of Isaac, Balatro, Slay the Spire, Almond, many others had me immediately restarting. Gungeon, for sure. I just didn't list it because I haven't managed to beat it yet. Dark Souls 1, Hitman Trilogy, the stealth run was very satisfying, but now it's time to go crazy with all the weapons and gadgets lol. Can't believe this isn't higher. Can't believe this isn't higher.